Hello, what's going on, Doug? We don't have a name for these. I'm going to tell some stories and answer some questions, probably about websites a little bit, mostly the questions about that. And I will tell some stories. I realized I neglected to write down some of my ideas, so we're just going to wing it today. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. Let me know where you're from and all those kind of things. It seems like things are working okay on my end, but just say hello. And if you're watching the replay later, let me know in the comments. I do read all the comments. Sometimes I reply back, but not always. There's a lot of them, and sometimes I put it off for a little while, and then I'll come back to it sometime in the future, or not. Sometimes I don't come back to it. So today, one thing, we do have quite a few likes ahead of time, and I'll thank myself. I hopped in and liked the video a few times. It still counts, still counts. We have Daniel on here, amazing, and Shadnon and Joanne, what's going on? And Daniel is out of London, so welcome everyone. And I'm trying to think. The last time I chatted with you, I think I had just gotten back from Florida. And this past weekend was a little bit less eventful, but my wife was out of town. So it was just Georgie and I holding down the fort. And that went well. Georgie, she has a little bit of a shoulder injury, so she actually was having a little trouble coming down the stairs, so she's not coming down so much. But anyway, we kind of took it easy a little bit, hung out most of the day on Friday, just watched some TV. Georgie likes to snuggle when you watch TV, so that was mostly for her. And I've been watching this show, Superstore. Anybody watch Superstore? It's by the same people that did The Office, or at least one of the writers, I think, was from The Office writing staff. We watched the whole series before, but I'm like rewatching it on Hulu right now. It's pretty funny. Makes me want to work in a retail shop. And I know that would be short-lived. As soon as I spent like a day, I'd be like, oh, get me out of here. But it's kind of fun. I mean, I've worked retail a couple times in the past. Pros and cons, compared to like other jobs out there. David's on here too, one of our fine moderators. Thanks, David, for hopping in and helping out. And Shadnan is from Bangladesh. Jody's on, what's happening? And we got Rolando from Mexico. What's up, Rolando? I think maybe you sent me an email recently. Hopefully I got back to you. Yeah, Daniel says Superstore is a great show. I think that's the one you're talking about. So yeah, it is. It's pretty funny. Some of the stuff is obviously just unrealistic and silly, but a lot of it, like some of the day-to-day of working a retail gig like that, is very realistic and hilarious. The other sort of reference point is Georgie and I often walk to a bunch of shops, and I just bring Georgie in. We walk through probably 10 different shops that are close by that we can walk to on our daily walks. So I'm in there all the time, and a lot of the employees know us because we're in there all the time, almost every single day. So I see them having their daily meetings like early in the morning, and like the managers trying to get everybody all pumped up and stuff, and like, hey, we're trying to push these products or do this thing or whatever. So pretty funny to walk through and then see it, and then only get to see the fun part and then get the heck out of there. So, and I like I said, I did work retail some. One was in a pretty fun place. It was Rocky Mountain National Park, and I was actually in the snack bar, but it was a retail area, and there just happened to be a little snack bar back there. But so it was like part food service, part retail. But I did work at Structure at the mall in college at one point. I think I've had another couple retail jobs, but it's escaping me right now. Obviously, we're just trying to make it through the front part here, and then I'll get started here. Okay. Serge says, you're finally watching the live and not a replay from Israel. Nice. And Orlando is on the wait list for the course. Okay, a couple quick things. I think we just have a handful of folks on today. And we have a couple of announcements. This is all in the description here, so you can check it out. Free mini course coming next week. That's April 11th through the 15th. 3 emails will come out, and basically it'll hopefully help you get focused and motivated to work on your site, maybe start your first one or to grow the one that you already have. You can just follow the link in the description, nichesiteproject.com/mini course, and just sign up right there. You'll get a few emails, my templates, all the normal things that I send out. And on Monday, the 11th, you'll start getting those 3 emails that I do send out. The other thing is, if you want to be notified about these live streams, you could sign up and get YouTube notifications that I send out, because we can't really rely on YouTube to send out notifications in a timely way. So I send them out about an hour ahead of time. There's really nothing to the email other than, hey, I'm going live in about an hour. Again, you join the email list when you do that. Other couple things, sponsors, which I'll talk more about later, but just a quick shout out to Odys Global, the source for age premium domains. And then we have Ezoic as well. You can hop on their Access Now program, no minimum traffic. You can get started with Ezoic right away. And finally, Niche Website Builders. I'm working with them on a case study, publishing 200,000 words of content over the course of 4 months. I just got my first 50,000 words or so and published them all yesterday. I will answer some questions today. I think we have some folks that are asking questions, hopefully. And the other thing, any other quick announcements? Nope, we'll get to some other stuff as we go. So David says, you have a pair of structured jeans that you wear from time to time from all those years ago. Yeah, it was part of the limited company, which has, I guess the Gap, Old Navy, Victoria's Secret, and probably a couple others, but those are the big ones. But yeah, Structure was like the menswear, and worked there for I think just one retail season from I don't even remember. Maybe it was like October through January. Like, it was a pretty short time, but it was kind of fun. And you're just folding clothes and like doing inventory, and it was interesting. Was interesting out there. Hugh says, hey Doug, I discovered you through Charles YT channel, and the KGR is fucking business. You found over 100 good keywords and deleted hundreds of others that weren't a fit. Cool. And I'm not sure Charlie's YouTube. Oh, Charlie. Okay, yeah. Charlie. He published 1,000 articles in 2021. I've interviewed him a couple times. Awesome. Yeah, thanks for the note on KGR. And one other quick plug, I am doing a live stream with the guys from Niche Website Builders tomorrow. I think Alex is out of town, so he won't be joining us. Alex is over at WP Eagle, but Adam and Mark will be chatting with me. We have a show topic, which I don't remember what it is. It might be productivity. It sounds like something I'd pick. So we're doing that tomorrow, 8 a.m. Mountain Time. So a little bit earlier, a few hours earlier than where we're doing it today. But yeah, it'll be Adam and Mark and myself chatting about our productivity tips and other stuff like that. So if you do have any questions here today, let me know. We do have Zach on, what's happening, and I can point out a couple other quick things. So yeah, I did interview Charlie a few times. The first time he was publishing, I think, 400 to 500 articles in like several months. I don't remember exactly how long, but he was doing so much while he was, working full time, and he decided he was going to publish a bunch more. So I haven't caught up with Charlie since the last interview, but I was just doing an interview yesterday, I was doing an interview yesterday, and Charlie came up, and I was like, oh, I need to see how well he's doing right now. All right, Jody asks, how fast do you expect to get indexed with a big amount of content? So that is a great question. So for people that are just hopping on, I got 50 articles from niche website builders, and basically I published all but maybe like 2 of them. And I published them all in one day. I'm pretty sure that it'll be indexed quickly. So I'm kind of expecting all of the content to be indexed in probably a few days. And a couple reasons why. I am working on a site that has about, I think it has 170 articles on there or so, something like that. I can't remember exactly. It could be 270. It has a few hundred articles. It has a few hundred backlinks as well. It has a domain rating of like mid 50s or so. So basically, it's getting traffic. It's ranking pretty well in Google for a lot of different terms. And I don't expect it to take very long for the content to be indexed because it has sufficient traffic. It's out of the sandbox. It's a year and a half old. So I don't think it'll really take that long for the content to be indexed. But that could be something that I'll cover in one of the upcoming updates. So I am blogging over on Niche Website Builders on their blog for monthly updates. And then on my podcast, I'm providing updates as well. Additionally, there will be YouTube videos, but I'm sort of staggering everything. So I'm not just like publishing the same thing over and over again. So that is probably one of the best questions that I could answer, Jody. So I'll potentially monitor this a little bit more closely than I would normally, which normally I wouldn't even pay attention. I would just publish the content and then every few weeks, maybe check a few of the metrics here and there and see what happens. So I will most likely do a video and I could cover stuff like that. Like, hey, I published 50 articles in one day and here's what happened. Yeah. And Serge is asking about the keyword golden ratio. So it's a way to find keywords that are very long tail keywords. I've done 10 videos on it at least. There's a bunch more. So you could check it out on my channel. There's also a blog post over on Niche Site Project, which I bet someone will be able to put in the chat here, but it's nichesiteproject.com/keyword-golden-ratio. You should be able to find it. And you can use free keyword research tools. You can use paid tools. It's very, very flexible, but long tail keywords is the main idea. And it ranks very quickly. That's the other part of the idea. So Jody says, crazy question and something I'm about to test. If you had 5,000 pages, what do you think Google will think with a fairly new site? What can you clarify your question? I'm not really sure what you're asking. What will Google think? I think Google probably doesn't give a fuck and they won't really notice anything. But I would go back, Jody. Have you checked out the interview with Charlie that Hugh mentioned before? He published 1,000 articles in a year on a brand new domain, and he shares his results. You can check out his channel on that too. He has like his own updates and stuff like that, but he's done a few interviews with me, so you could kind of like follow along over, I think, like a year and a half, almost 2 years maybe. I can't remember the first interview I did with him. Gaz is on a little bit late, but you're here. Awesome. And I don't know is Alex going live today? I'm not sure. Usually he goes on right after me. All right. So I would say, Jody, what will happen if you publish 5,000 pages of content? I think if it's good content, you'll probably get some traction. It may still take a couple months, but the more work you do up front, the faster things happen generally. All right. Daniel says you just started with your first site. You have $1,000 to put into it right now. Should you hire a writer, buy content from somewhere like Niche Website Builders, or something else? I would probably, well, number one, can you write yourself? So I would probably hire a writer to help out. Your dollars will go farther that way. The great thing with agencies like Niche Website Builders or others is that it's easy. You just hire them. Sometimes they'll do the keyword research for you. Niche Website Builders does. And then they have all the writers like trained, and then you just get content on the other side. It's very easy. The downside is that it's far more expensive to hire an agency than to hire a writer. So if you just have $1,000, you may be able to get, decent amount of content depending on how much you're paying your writers. If you have $1,000 and you go to an agency, you're not going to get that much content. So, you said you had $1,000 right now. Like, you may want to think further out, think about, how much you'll have over the course of a year, and then go from there. But yeah, if you figure out your budget, then you'll have a easier time figuring out how much to invest in different areas in different ways. And Hugh says, I put $6,000 in a content agency for my first 120 articles, but now you're getting your own writers and have 100 more to go. And the site went live on the 29th of March, and you're publishing 10 articles a day, aiming for 1,000 before the year ends. There you go. Yeah. So publishing a ton of content. And yeah, if you're doing that many, you're publishing 10 articles a day. Obviously, it costs money, but if you hire your own writers, right, Hugh, it's way cheaper. And Guys confirms that Alex has some family in town. Yeah, that's what I thought. So no stream this week, taking a week off. Nice. All right, Jody says, I have over 5,000 pages of reporting data and research I'm about to launch, working on finalizing the curation. The research is organized and automatic, but well structured in a type of guide format. Cool. Yeah, so Jody, I have no clue. I mean, if you publish a lot of content, it seems like Google likes that generally, especially for a new site, and often seems to help build like topical relevancy. So let us know. You tell us what happens. It's not often when people do that. And if you have reporting and data that you're putting out there and people are actually searching for it, that's the key. Are people actually searching for it? I heard, well, it was on one of these live streams. I'm like, I heard someone ask, well, obviously it was on here because I don't watch anyone else ask questions. So someone asked about targeting keywords that have no searches, 0 searches or no reported searches, which could work. And, we hear often from people, they're like, you know what? I know it's a good keyword and it doesn't show that it gets any searches and it works out well. And then I've also interviewed probably at least 10 people that said, my highest traffic page is one that has a reported 0 searches per month. So if you follow the logic, but don't think about it too rigorously, you're like, I'm just going to target keywords that get no searches per month. But if you do that, you could just target stuff that people aren't searching for at all. And that's why there's no searches per month, because it's nonsense. So Jody, the question is, are people actually searching for some data within the content, whatever it is you're publishing? Like if people are searching for it, then it'll probably work out great. If not, then no one will care because they're not searching for it. Gaz says, I have hopefully an interesting question for tonight. We will see. Let's hear it. Daniel's publishing 3 articles per week. And yeah. All right. Alistair says, I'm thinking on how to improve my ranking in traffic. Is auditing your backlink profile necessary to improve your site? No, it is not necessary. It might help, but it might not. But it is definitely not required or necessary. You can do that, and it could be valuable, or you don't have to do it. And do I have a backlink auditing service? No. Can I suggest one? No. I would say, you could probably just hop on Ahrefs. You may be able to go to Fiverr, have someone pull a report and just have it sent to you, and then you can have a look at it. You potentially could have someone at Fiverr, pull the report and then do some analysis on it. But really, if you just have a look, you probably should be able to draw some conclusions from it. And Alistair, instead of checking out the backlink profile, I would point you towards a recent interview I did with Marty McLeod. I think it came out last Thursday, the 31st. You can look here on YouTube, or you can check your podcast player, whatever directory you prefer or whatever player you use. It should be available on the Doug Show. There's a link in the description here, the Doug Show. And I talk about a lot of the same stuff, some different things, but I would look at mostly at the content. You can do a backlink analysis, but from there, you're going to have to do a few other things and a little bit more research. You potentially can do like a shotgun skyscraper campaign, something like that. Those seem to be pretty effective, especially if you don't have much of a backlink profile going on. And then you could do guest posting campaign. You could do just more general outreach and that sort of thing. But, you should be able to have a quick look at your backlink profile and then understand if you're in good shape or not good shape. And actually, I guess the follow-up is, are you trying to find out if you have like a good backlink profile or one that needs work, or what are you looking for exactly? And Hugh says, hiring your own writers is much cheaper, but you need to have keyword research tightened down and have SOPs and processes in place. Yeah, most definitely. Okay. Gaz says, I work full-time and only manage one article per week, but I'm consistent and they're good quality. Set your own goals. The secret is persistence. Yes, I can't remember who I was talking to, but it could have been a podcast that I was listening to as well. And it wasn't most people that are successful, especially in this, in this world, it's people that are okay with trying something and then failing and making mistakes and then continuing to like move on from there. Very, very typical to see that. Most people don't have it all figured out right at the beginning. It takes them a little while. And then to your point, guys, and I'm trying to make this point because, we, especially these YouTube channels, it's a good headline to say like what Charlie did, right? 1,000 articles in 1 year. It's a fun headline. People want to check it out. Hopefully you can learn from it, learn how he set up systems and take it from there. But yeah, if you can only publish one article per week or one article per month, but they're good and they're high quality and it's all you can manage, maybe you're writing it yourself and you don't have any budget, in like 3 years, you may have a really solid set of content that brings in a lot more traffic than you might imagine. You only need a few posts that are doing really well to bring in a lot of traffic. And Hugh says, does adding YouTube videos to your post related to your content help with rankings? Anecdotally, yes, and I do advise people to put related videos, But Hugh, I mean, you could imagine, right? If if you could improve your rankings in a significant way just by adding YouTube videos, then everyone would do it, and that would sort of remove any advantage that you had. And if people abuse it, like, well, if it did work, we would abuse it, right? Then Google would change the algorithm and whatever weight that advantage gives you, and it would kind of go away. So does posting YouTube videos help your rankings? Probably not. If it does, in a very small way. However, I recommend that you do it if it helps the content and helps provide context. Okay. Gaz has this question here. Okay. If you eventually get great consistent traffic to your site and outreach to companies in your niche to offer advertising space, how do you decide what to charge and how much screen real estate to give them? So there's no specific answer for this. So you'll just have to feel it out, and you can make some educated guesses if you want to. So you could look and see if they're running ads already and see what kind of like CPC they might be paying. That's the cost per click. And then do some math and look at how much traffic you get and kind of, try to match up the CPC. However, that would just be a starting point because you really don't know exactly like how much they're spending or how much like interaction or what the ROI is for the ads they might be running. They might not be running any ads, so you may not be able to do that kind of research anyway. So typically, and I haven't done this, I'm trying to think if I've done it very often, extremely, extremely rarely. So I have very little experience in this, but just enough. So I would say you could just be honest with them and say, hey, I don't know what to charge. I think maybe around this amount. You don't have to say an amount. If you say something and you're way off, like you're way too low, and they say yes automatically and there's no negotiation, you know that you aimed a little bit too low. And the other piece is depending on like what they're selling, you could also do some math in the other direction where you know how much the product is, you can make some assumptions about the margin, other pieces of their expenses that you maybe should consider and say, it should be valuable to do this for this price if we can get one conversion per day, something like that. My approach is generally just like be straight up and be honest about it and say, hey, I'm not really sure. Do you have any proposal? If you want to propose a certain amount or price yourself, then you could propose an amount that you would be happy with, even if you're selling yourself short. Another piece that you can have in the negotiation is that it's sort of an open contract so that you're not locked in. So if you go through like a month or two and it's going really well and you know what conversions are happening, you can renegotiate. And if they, if they're doing well, then you can ask for more money. And if they don't want to do it, then you can go to one of their competitors, which is totally valid. It's an open market, As far as how much real estate, that's totally up to you and how you want to, design your site. And if you can embed the ad within the content without making it too salesy, then it maybe can take up a little bit more real estate in there, and it's totally up to you. Now, side story, I have another podcast. I'll plug it here. It's called the Mile High Fi, Personal Finance and Financial Independence. There's a link in the show description here, in the notes. So we don't have any advertisers right now. There was an opportunity to get an advertiser. It was a company who we interviewed, they actually closed several deals. And I came in and I said, I'll use fake amounts here, but it'll give you, it's in the general scope, so you get an idea. So they closed, let me think of the right way. So, yeah, so I'm making it up, but it's in the same scope and magnitude here. So they got several clients after being on our show, and they could trace it directly back from being on our show. In 1 year, they earned about $50,000, which is a lot. So that's the value for the customers that they got for 1 year. And I was like, well, shit, that's a lot of money just for 1 year. I wasn't even planning on trying to get advertising for a while, but this seems like a perfect match. So that was just 1 year, 50K for 1 year. All like clearly traced back. They know it originated from us. And the lifetime value of those customers, well, I'm not sure. But if any of those people hang on, it's 50K the first year. And this is like an ongoing service, right? So 50K the first year, it's 50K every year, right? That's the point. So the lifetime value of the clients could be hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of a few years. Some people are going to fall off and they won't subscribe again, but it was a lot of money. So I came in big and I asked for 4,000 per month. And they were like, oh man, like we can't afford it. We've only budgeted I'm trying to remember. They only budgeted about $400 per month for marketing. So I did try to explain. I was like, well, what's the lifetime value of a customer? And they were like, well, we're not really sure. This is a newer business. But basically, they potentially could have had ads for way cheaper than what we'll be charging in the future anyway. But I came in to your point, guys, I came in with a certain amount that I thought was a pretty good deal for them. Actually, I thought it was a pretty good deal considering our show's going to grow in the future. And they were like, we just can't afford it, which I respect. But I was like, fuck that. We can't work with such a small amount of money. It's not even worth it for us to, put our name associated with the product if it's such a small amount. We'd rather just keep losing money each month without any advertisers. So that's where it was. And side note on top of that, like I said, they would have gotten a good deal at the 4,000 per month that I mentioned. Our show, Mile High Fi, was featured on one of our friends' podcasts, he's much bigger. He's been doing this for almost a decade, I think. So we ended up, this is crazy, the first time I mentioned it, we ended up in the top 100 in the US on Apple Podcast for business, which is a big, actually, if people have a second, you could try to find it. We were in the top 100. I think we got up to like 78, and then it started dropping down. It's a kind of a flash in a pan situation. We're probably going to drop down to where we were. But yeah, if anyone's in the US and you're able to quickly look on iTunes, you may still see it in the top 200 or so. And the thing is, when you see the other shows that are in the top 200, we're the odd man out. Like, they are much bigger shows. They're authors and networks and people with a big staff, and we're just like throwing some stuff together. Okay. So guys, ask for whatever you think you could be happy with. Even if you're undercharging, that's okay. You get data every time you do this. David, thank you. You mentioned the link with Marty, the podcast with Marty, so you can check that out there. Jody says, add video schema on your page. It'll give your give you the chance of getting ranked on the video section of Google. Cool. Duke, what's going on? What are your thoughts on writing a certain percentage of content not geared towards keywords, but geared towards establishing authority on a topic for Google? For example, a pillar post on cameras. You're never going to try and rank for cameras, but it's necessary. But is it necessary to show that you're an expert in Google's eyes? So that is, I think it would be fine. And I don't know how much it helps with Google specifically. I think it's valid to publish content that makes your site seem more well-rounded. I don't think you have to do it to build the topical relevancy. Like I have Niche Site Project, and I don't have any content like how to start a blog, which is really competitive. I wouldn't expect to rank for it, but it could be something that makes the site seem more well-rounded. And if someone actually found content that they liked on Niche Site Project and they wanted to read what I had to say, that would be valid. So overall, I think it's okay. I don't know if it would actually like help the rankings specifically, but I can't say that it wouldn't help the rankings either. Alistair says, I have several high quality backlinks but plenty others from India. Last year, my site ranking shot up significantly in Ahrefs. I saw a bunch of copy links were dropped just before the boost. Okay. Okay, and this is follow up from the previous piece here. So I don't know if you're just looking at what Ahrefs has, like their database is different than Google's, and the fact that, they were dropped, that could have been the reason why your rankings went up. It could be completely unrelated. All those links still might be there. All those links might be in Google's database, but that's different, of course, from Ahrefs. Now, I don't know specifically, but if you get rid of some bad links, that should be good. But the thing is, if they're really crappy, spammy links, technically, right, Google shouldn't be recognizing those. That's kind of the word on the street. Like if they're just pure spammy links, Google's like, we don't even care. That said, if you notice that a bunch of backlinks were pointed at your site and you disavowed them, then that's not a bad thing. So totally up to you. But yeah, I'm not sure. I think you just wanted me to comment on your statement there. You could find a company to do an audit for you, but like I said, I don't know any companies specifically. Marcus says, aren't you attending the affiliate gathering in the UK? No, I am not. And Goss says, sore subject. Yeah, I wasn't invited. I didn't hear about it or anything until much later. And looks like a bunch of fun. I'm sure everyone's going to have a blast, but yeah, I wasn't invited or anything like that. All right. Oh, John says solid effort on the other podcast. Thanks. Appreciate it. Jody says something about topical authority and Kyle Ford. Okay. Rolando says you want to create a blog that generates $500 a month because in Mexico, that's a good salary for a professional. How long will it take to achieve it with only Amazon? So generally, this is an impossible question to answer. If you're there's too many variables, but it's not unusual to see someone earn $100 per month by about month 6. Give or take, right? We're ignoring the niche. We're ignoring how much work the person puts into it. We're ignoring like many important factors here. And then going from there, it's not unusual to have 1,000 per month after about a year. Could be lower, could be higher. It could be, after a year, it could be $300 a month. And then it could also be $3,000 per month. Once the sites take off and sort of get out of the sandbox, then the growth is kind of dependent on how much work you put into it beforehand. All right. So Rolando, feel free to ask follow-ups there. It's a common question. It's hard to answer. If you pinned me down, I'd probably say, give yourself about a year to make $500 per month. But most likely, if you hit 500 in a year, it's probably going to grow a lot more after that. And Marcus is going to affiliate summit or affiliate gathering. Who all is going to affiliate gathering? Feel free to type it in here. Yeah, it seems like a lot of people are going to be there, and should be a lot of fun. I bet a lot of connections will be made, and it'll be fun to meet a bunch of people in person. Tobias says, do you have any tips for starters who like to start new projects but have problems to find motivation to optimize and drive existing ones? That is one of my superpowers. I think Gaz mentioned the fact that if you just have some persistence and you're a little stubborn, like, you're going to be successful. There's several people that I've interviewed in the past that if you just would have met them and you talked to them for a while, you would think there's no fucking way that this person would be able to earn, $5,000 to $10,000 per month online. They just seem like a basket case. But they're really good at finishing stuff, and they will start something and they're so stubborn that they will work on things like ad nauseum, right? They will just keep doing it. And it's absolutely amazing. It's really just starting something and then finishing it. I think, Tobias, as you know, if you have like 5 really good ideas and you start projects on all 5 of these really good ideas and you finish them by 80%, you're sitting on a pile of nothing, right? You could finish them like 95%, but if you don't have like a finished product at the end, you have nothing. You have a bunch of not done projects. So the people that are successful tend to be able to finish things and work on it long term and have some sort of motivation. So, you're looking for tips for motivation and finishing projects. I don't know. So I'm not a great cheerleader, and I think I'm an okay coach for people that work with me directly, but I'm not a great cheerleader. And what you'll find is, if you could find a community, maybe a mastermind group that can help motivate you because other people will understand what you're trying to do. And they're like, I know it's tough right now. Like, keep going, like, blah, blah, blah. Maybe they can give you better tips. I've been okay in mastermind groups, but generally, because I have what seems to be like my own self-motivation, I generally, I don't know what people are struggling with exactly. Because I like wake up and I'm like, all right, I want to get this shit done. You have to figure out why you're doing something, and hopefully the why is going to be a stronger pull than whatever procrastination is setting in. So I hope that helps a little bit. So I guess the big tip that I can give is try to find a mastermind group, find some people where you are accountable to each other. Because I think what I have is like the internal accountability. So I don't need to be accountable to someone else to do something. Some people need the external forces to motivate them to do it because they don't want to let the other people down. due to the accountability. But for me, I'm pretty much like self-motivated in most ways. Not all the time. I mean, I procrastinate. And if at this point, when I'm giving you this advice right now, I've like whittled down like the amount that I work per week to a much smaller amount, like 15 to 20 hours per week. And I take a lot of time off. I take days off, and it's a little bit easier to be motivated if you're just popping in for like the fun stuff, which is what I try to create. How's that for unrelatable? But anyway, form a mastermind group. They are very helpful. Okay, I need to give my voice a rest here. I see we got a bunch more questions, so I'll be right back. I do have a clip here that is from Otis. If I can get to... All right, yeah, this is Otis, one of our fine sponsors. So I just need to get to the file. And it's always good for me to rest my voice just a little bit. So here we go. To you by Odys Global. That's ODYS.global, the source for premium age domains with powerful backlinks. And they have a great filtering system. So you could, filter by industry, by language, top level domain, traffic, and the SEO value, which amounts to the domain rating and the domain age and referring domains, a few other things like that. The featured domain for today is jackalopejobs.com. And this one's, a little bit younger than some of the sites that we've been looking at in the recent weeks here. It is about 4 years old, and it used to be a job portal that utilized social networks to find jobs. And with remote work being more popular than ever, I think it would be a great area to look into, especially the fact that you have the use of social networks to help you find a job. There are links from some pretty amazing sources out there. When I look at the number of referring domains, there are 134 total, and 116 of those are do follow. The domain rating is 18 currently. And some of those awesome domains are places like Business Insider, Texas.gov, Mashable.com, BusinessInsider.com.au, Financial Post, SmartBrief.com, Gus.com, Tint.com, and a bunch of other awesome domains. I think it would be very interesting to set up some informational type topics to help people find jobs and give tips on potentially working remotely. And you could just kind of orient the whole thing towards jobs and online work. And one thing you could do is sort of consolidate information from other areas, from other websites, and you can lean on the social aspect that the site had before. So I would think it's one that you could certainly check out. And trying to see if there's any other great information. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that the Majestic ratings are 11 and 23 respectively, and the Moz is 31 and 34 for domain authority and the page authority as well. So it's still indexed in Google and worth checking out. Like I mentioned before, this one's a little bit cheaper, listed at $2,160 over at Jackalope Jobs. So thanks a lot to Otis. If you join using my affiliate link, you can get $100 into your account and get started quick with a premium age domain. All right, and we are back here, and we got a last few questions coming in, and actually a few more people hopped on, so feel free to ask questions here. We'll get through them all. And as we are waiting for a couple more questions to pop through, Marcus asked about the affiliate gathering, and you haven't booked your tickets yet, but you're considering going there. Yeah, it sounds like there's going to be a ton of people. So I have definitely enjoyed the live events that I've been to, though none in the affiliate marketing space. I've only, in the last year or so, I've been going to these financial independence things, but it's a blast to meet people in person. And one thing you will potentially find, so there's a lot of sort of introverted people in the marketing, especially internet marketing space. A lot of us work in a small dungeon like the one I have here. And there are a bunch of introverted people in the financial independence space as well. But you go to these retreats and everyone is so talkative because everyone's on the same page and you have so many things in common that you end up with just like super extroverted, introverted people. So they're like, I'm an introvert, and they won't shut up. Everyone's talking the whole time, staying up late, making connections, we're starting projects together and stuff like that. So while I'm not going to affiliate gathering, I bet a lot of people are going to have a fun time. Orlando says $500 in a year is worth the effort. Cool. John says, I can't wait for the feeling of getting out of the sandbox. I keep hearing the sandbox and hope it's true. About 2 months into my site, but you're staying productive so far, so motivated, hence you tune in. Okay. So I coached a student earlier today, and we set up the meeting like 5 days ago. He scheduled it, and then he hopped on this morning and he said, you know what? In the last 2 days, the traffic went up from, I'm trying to remember, I can't remember exactly, but basically it went from like 30 visitors a day to like 400, something like that. And I was like, oh, this is crazy. And he's like, yeah, like the site's like 1 year and 3 weeks old or something like that. So, he started the site, took a few weeks to start publishing, and then like traffic is now blowing up. So it seems like if you're still in the sandbox, it seems like it'll never end. But once you get out, you're like, oh yeah, like it just seems to have happened. Could be a little early, could be a little later, but yeah, when you keep working on it, it's amazing. All right. Guys says the fact is when you decide on a niche, other people will be doing it too. You just need to do a better job. Yep. Worthy of Me says, I know the feeling of a ton of not done projects. And Guys says the only one that can motivate you is you. And sadly, David said you didn't see Mile High Fi in the top 200. Yeah, we could have dropped off already. Like I said, it was a quick thing and shot up, and it's gone already. Okay. Yep. On the stuff of motivation, I struggle with that sometimes, but do check out the Doug Show. There are multiple episodes where I talk about motivation, probably a little bit more lengthy than what I just mentioned here. But a lot of it is, like I said, you gotta, like I'm just kind of motivated to do my stuff, and I'm not 100% sure why, but I am very good at finishing things. So even none of it's perfect. A lot of it's sloppy, but I'm not afraid to ship. Get things out the door, and then you get feedback on whatever you're shipping, and then you could improve it from there. Electronic Earnings says, tips for people going from 2,000 to 10K a month. So this will be a topic on an upcoming live stream with the crew. So what do we call that? The Niche Lifestyle Show? I think that's coming up. It may be like a month from now, but I think that's one of my ideas. So I hope it is. I hope I didn't see it and then now I'm claiming it as my idea, but those guys aren't here to defend themselves. There's a few pieces, and I'll break it down into like two main, maybe I'll think of a third so we can give it a tight 3-point answer here. So number one, you can look at what's working. So let's say you have, a bunch of different content on your site. You can analyze the content and see which pieces of content are earning the most or getting the most traffic. Hopefully, probably those are traffic. Hopefully, probably those are very closely related. And if you can figure out the common thread, you may realize it's all related to the monetization method. Maybe there's a great affiliate offer and it's all, it's earning most of your money. And maybe you could find something, related to that, Or maybe you realize, hey, it's an informational topic, it's earning a lot because of the topic area, and you discover, there's a bunch of other keywords you could approach. So you could find something that's working and do more of it. And it could be around the kind of content, it could be the monetization, but just analyze it, see if you can do more of what is working. Another thing that I see, especially in that like $2,000 per month, it really up to, maybe even $10,000, people will focus on the thing that they enjoy doing. Usually it's writing and publishing content or having content written. So often you'll find people that just published a whole lot of content, but they never spent any time promoting the site or link building or doing anything that wasn't promoting, or they weren't doing anything that wasn't publishing content. So there's a gap. There's a thing that they've completely a thing that they completely neglected that they need to go back to because they just ignored it. So if they go back and they spend time on promoting the site and link building, they may find that their site can earn, so much more money. They weren't even close to the potential. So those are a couple of the big things. And then, the other part is, if you're going from 2 to 10,000, there's a good chance that you can brute force your way through. So if you are publishing content, and how much content do you have on your site? Electronic earnings. Basically, that's 10K per month is still a pretty approachable amount. So you probably could just publish more content and get there. John says, you planning on going on nature walks? How important is reflection and connecting with nature and giving you clarity for your business? Interesting question here. So I usually walk, first thing in the morning after I have some coffee. I take Georgie out usually for like a 2 to 3 mile walk. And especially lately, I've been trying to not listen to podcasts or audiobooks so I can just go walk around and think about nothing or think about something. It doesn't really matter, but it's not like me taking input like constantly. So it gives your brain time to think a little bit. And as far as clarity in the business, I would say it's pretty important. The nature walks, hiking. A lot of times when I walk, it is not necessarily in nature. I mean, there's a lot of trees and birds and stuff around, but it is like on a greenway. So it's actually, paved sidewalk that runs for, I don't know, 100 miles around here. Like the greenways all connect. So I think it goes a really long way. And it gives me just clarity in general. And the business is just a small portion of it. The other piece of that is just exercising in general. So once we finish this, I had like a lot of meetings this morning. I'm going to stop and probably work out for at least hour and a half, maybe 2.5 hours, and just get away from the laptop and go do something else. And I would encourage people to spend, more time. I talk about it all the time. Like I do this stuff so I don't have to be in front of my computer. So you can do other stuff. And typically, I've talked to one of my friends, Carl. He has his best ideas when he's out walking around. Often not listening to anything, just walking. Your brain has time to wander. You don't have to, it's like low pressure. We listen to podcasts a lot too, but sometimes it's good just to have no inputs. Okay. Let's blast through some questions. And don't forget Niche Website Builders. Just shout out to the sponsors here. You've got Niche Website Builders. You have Ezoic. You have Otis. And they sponsor these live streams. That's why I do them. So if you like these live streams, even if you're not going to buy anything, hop over there and shoot them an email. I know it takes a minute, but just shoot them an email. It doesn't have to be long. Just say, thanks for supporting the Doug Show. And then hopefully they'll keep sponsoring me. Gaz says, my latest site that you're proud of is only 2 months old, but indexing is increasing weekly. It's slow, but in the green. Nice. Congratulations. And the other thing I'll plug is the mini course next week. So 3-part email series. It's free. It helps you get motivated to start your first site or grow your existing site. So talks about motivation too. I should have plugged it for the motivation question. But yeah, you can just follow the link there. I'll start sending it out on the 11th next Monday. Marcus says, what if my domain contains the focus keyword, but you want another page on your site to rank for that keyword instead of the home page? What would you do? You want to avoid keyword cannibalization. Well, just title whatever page or post with exactly what keyword you're targeting. I suspect your homepage will have a different title, and generally the title is going to be one of the strongest pieces of sort of description and meta description and information that you can provide to Google and the visitor about what the content is about. Most likely, there will be long-form content on the post you're trying to rank and not long-form content on the homepage, so you shouldn't have any major issue with it. All right. I am Mooksham says, my blog gets 3,000 to 4,000 visits a day. Nice work. Ezoic is earning about 900 to 1,300 a month. Can it be increased? Your EPMV is $11 US, and you write articles on coding. Any suggestions? So number one, you'd publish more content, right? So publish more content. But I would say if you can find, here is a way that you could like earn so much more. I'm not sure if it's possible, but if you could find online courses, it depends on the content that you're writing, but if you can have some digital products, some online courses that you can promote, that will probably increase your revenue by a huge amount. Of course, it does depend on the content. If it's coding and you're giving like code examples, people may not be thinking, hey, I want to take a course on this. But if they use the site all the time, then they may come back and say, I would take a course on this. So if you can promote a product, you will earn a lot more than with ads. Like I said, it's a trade-off because the content that you have on your site may not be conducive for actually selling products. So you may have to, shape it from there. Or like I said, you could just publish more content. But as far as the EPMV, it depends on how long you've been on Ezoic. If you're getting 3,000 to 4,000 visitors a day, there's a good chance you've been doing this for a little while. Hugh says, what was a course I mentioned at the beginning? So yeah, that was a free mini course. You could just sign up. There's a link in the description. It's the first link there. nichesiteproject.com/mini course. Maybe I could even drag this to this possible. Let's see if this works. Nah, it didn't work. It's in the description. You could find it. It's free. Marcus says, you are hiding in your dungeon. You need to get out and meet people. You've never been to an affiliate event before. Yeah, it's pretty, people will have a great time. Yeah. Everyone will be so excited. John says, although competition in your niche, coming up with different angles on information and originality in your writing, mixed with low fruit keyword research and on page can help too. Yeah, and if you're taking that angle, you can't use an AI tool, right? If you're trying to come up with original angles, you can't just regurgitate the internet. Oh, God says you enjoy the Doug shows. Much appreciated. Tobias says, I have 30 sites earning $10 to $100 each. That might sound nice at first, but it's a horde of management and not sustainable to bring you one step further. Yeah, that sounds like a nightmare. And Yeah, Worthy of Me says, it's difficult to have two sites. My problem is ADD, and you have too many ideas for posts to know what to focus on. Yeah, that happens too. And then Inverse says, I skipped you. There's a chance your question was filtered out. I could have missed it too, but sometimes questions don't make it in. I don't see it, so why don't you post it again? Yeah, Enver, I don't see your question or anything. All right. Guys, thanks. As we finish up, yeah, thanks for keeping me on track here. We are finishing it up. We will get through all the questions. What was it like when your sites first freed you from your 9 to 5? So I will point you towards an interview for the Mile High Fi, and it is Who is Doug Cunnington? I will pull the link here for everyone. But the thing is, I got laid off. I wasn't earning enough. I had like many ups and downs. So I wasn't earning enough from my sites when I got laid off. I was earning maybe like $1,500 to $2,000 per month or so. And I tried a handful of things. I talk about it a little bit in this episode. It's fairly long, but it's a full background. And we do talk about financial independence, but really it's just me talking about myself nearly the whole time. But when I did get laid off, I already knew that I could earn money myself and that I didn't need to have a boss or a company or the corporate, lifestyle or anything. So I already knew, because I had earned, a lot of money in the past on with my websites. So I knew that I could do it. And I guess, it was probably early on because, when you have the realization that you can earn more because you can work for yourself and there's like no upper limit of how much you could earn. But if you have a job, even like some of the best jobs or best careers, it's capped. Like you're not going to earn more than a certain amount. But if you work for yourself, it's an unlimited amount. You can pick what you want to work on. You can work less or work more or whatever you want to do. So yeah, when I figured that out, it was like freeing. You're like, oh, actually these jobs are very stupid. They were very wasteful. There's a lot of pointless meetings, pointless time, and just a waste. So yeah, it felt great. And the thing is, I had some, a handful of good months over the 2 years from when I started with niche sites and then when I got laid off. And I knew that I could do it. But one of the big things was listening to shows like Smart Passive Income or Niche Pursuits or Authority Hacker. Those were kind of the main ones. There may be another one mixed in there, but hearing people that were similar to me, had similar jobs, and they were like, yeah, I did this thing and I figured out how to do it. Or maybe they had like zero technical background and they were like, but I figured out how to do it anyway. When you hear enough examples, you're like, okay, there's something to this. So yeah, it felt free. And then once, it was a little rocky for about a year as I tested different business models. But as time went on, I was like, I don't like doing this work. I want to do this. And I'm just going to shape it how I think I should be working on these things. Then it all worked out much better than I would have expected. All right. As we go through. So Marcus, thanks for asking your questions here. And don't forget, check out the podcast, The Doug Show, and check out Mile High Fi. Subscribe to them, all that stuff. If you're not subscribed to this channel, and you like these, then subscribe. Okay. Inver says, what do you suggest for image and image download based on content site to rank? You're going to have to rephrase it. I'm not really sure what you mean. Image and image download. I don't know what you mean. I don't think it, and I don't know why that relates to rankings. Average Being says, will writing around a keyword help improve rankings? Probably. Yes. All right, Inver, I'm just going to answer what I think maybe you're asking. So where should you download images? So best case scenario, you're going to a stock image site, you're paying for them, they're high quality images, and there's no issues with any kind of copyright problems or anything like that, or attribution. You could go to a cheaper or free place like Unsplash, but they have a limited selection. If you want to sort of bridge the gap, you can use something like Creative Commons. You will need to attribute the images properly, and it's noted in the Creative Commons license, which is easily accessible from, Flickr Creative Commons. And there's a link to exactly what you need to do to reference them. What's going on, Jason? Good to see you. And as far as like image download content site, yeah, I don't know what you're asking about, man. I'm sorry. It doesn't make sense to me. Ultra says, just wanted to say thank you. It's just a beginning of my way as an SEO, and you're glad you happen to be one of the first tutors. Great. Good to see you. And yeah, for people that want to help out, you can leave a comment and subscribe to the podcast. That's what I want. I talk about it all the time. I like the podcast format better than YouTube. YouTube's crazy out there, man. Everyone here is cool. You're here for the live streams, but YouTube is bananas with all the comments and just, it's so big. It's so big out there. Okay. Inver says, my content is free SVG and EPS files, no content. Fuck, I don't know. I don't know anything. So you design and you freely contribute. So you're saying, what do I suggest for image and download based content site to rank? Okay. From a marketing standpoint, I would find graphic designers who have blogs, who have followings on social media, and have them share it. You can't just go up to them and say, hey, share my stuff, because they'll tell you to get lost. Who are you? But if you're trying to promote a site that doesn't have any content and you don't want to put any content out there, then you should probably go to social media. You could probably find a lot of people that will feature your stuff. David's on. What's happening, David? Good to see you pop on here. And Enver, the other thing is, if you don't have any content, but you're okay to add content, you should publish content that your audience, the consumers of your images, would want to read. So try to attract the audience that would be interested in your downloads and your images that you're creating. So you'll have to either publish content, or you'll have to find other sources of traffic. And Jason says, how am I liking the group shows with Alex and company? They're pretty good. Yeah, people should tune into those. It'll be interesting to see how it works out. The format we're still trying to figure out a little bit. People seem to like the roundtable format. For me, it kind of fucks up my schedule, because those guys are in, GMT time zone, and it's, I have to do like an 8:00 call. So it's actually a shitty time for me. I mean, that's the best we can do, right? Because I think, at least, someone in the group, I can't remember who exactly, but someone in the group is like, I have like a window and it's this time. And that's what we can do. And I have the same constraint because I'm like, well, I'm not going to wake up at like 5 a.m. to do a live stream at 6. So yeah, kind of rough. But the format of the show seems to be good. People seem to like it. Like one thing that I'm surprised is our shows are smaller than I would have expected. I would have expected we have more people in live stream, but it could be that time of day is not that great. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, I think people like the shows when we're talking about interesting topics. All right, we got to wrap it up. So we'll answer the last few questions here. David says, I have 2 sites in the same niche. Both get quality traffic. Do you like the idea of owning more than one site in the same niche? Yeah, I think that's good, especially if they're both quality. It gives you a little flexibility as far as monetization. You could test some things out, perhaps. Additionally, I think it probably gives you maybe a little more security because you do have two sites in the same niche. So if one has an issue, you're probably going to be okay. David says 5 a.m. live streams is the best way to start the day. Oh man, that would be funny. Those guys would be so pissed at me for just be like, just like, I'm making coffee over here. That would be funny if I just like had a kettle over here and I'm like, yeah, I'm just making my coffee. I have like a lav mic and I'm like, yeah, I'm just doing my thing. Don't worry about it. Are you guys talking to me? And the other thing, David, with the 2 sites is there's an interview I did with Mushfiq, and he talked about having multiple sites, not just 2, but I can't remember. He would try to acquire sites in the same vertical, and then he would get specific deals with companies because he's like, hey, I'm getting all this traffic across these different sites. I can work with you directly if you give me favorable terms for whatever. Maybe it's advertising, maybe it's better affiliate payout, but you have leverage at that point. And if you already have a deal worked out with companies, then you could acquire other sites at, what is a good deal for you, but higher than what other people have. Okay. Nassim says, I've started my affiliate journey. Can I use AI to get SEO content? You can do it, but I do not recommend it. I would say don't use AI content, but is it possible? Yes. Nuwan says, how hard is it to rank niche sites these days without backlinks? Many competitors using PBNs. It's okay. So it's roughly the same as it was in the past. So it can take time to rank, but if you go after long tail keywords, then you could rank pretty quickly. Average Being says, just to be brief about the previous question, so there's a topic with a high volume of searches and a high competition. How can I build topical authority around that keyword and rank in the top 3? So based on the previous question and this question, I would tell you, don't do that, just to be direct and brief as well. Go for long tail keywords, because the problem is this. If you're going after a high volume of searches and a high competition, your competition is going to be expert level marketers. You're going to be dealing with people that have been doing this for a long time, and they have a lot more money than you to spend to beat you. So if I told you what you needed to do to build topical authority and rank in the top 3, I pretty much guarantee you'll quit before you get there or you'll run out of money. So I would say long tail keywords. Sorry to be, no one else will tell you that, but sorry to be a dick about it. But if you're like, hey, I want to compete with the very best and you're just getting started, you're not going to do it. Like, I love the enthusiasm, but just it's way too hard. Way too hard. Set that up for your 3rd site. How about that? Do it on your 3rd site. Get some hours under your belt. Get some reps in. Understand what you need to do. Nothing is necessarily hard. And I think you came in late, but there are a lot of questions about motivation and working when you're not getting any feedback from the world, like when you're in the Google sandbox. So average being just based on your 2 questions, I could tell you're a beginner, compete with other beginners, learn your skill set, and then you can start leveling up. You can absolutely do it, just not right now. All right. Holy shit, we got to get through this. All right. Trading Bull, what's up? M Bomber, good to have you on live. Yeah, it is. It's almost 1, so it is beer 30. Emmanuel says, my thoughts on the coffee niche. It's great. Love coffee. And we have Jay here taking it to a different level. And let's kill that one. All right. And Jason says, you've ranked pages without links. Keyword research is key, and the KGR rocks. Okay. Last 2 questions here, and then I really do have to go. My voice is killing me. I think I talk too loud. I can just move closer. Marcus says, do you think it makes sense to build a social media community around a niche site to drive traffic from social media to the site? Marcus, only if you enjoy the social media platform. Otherwise, I wouldn't waste time on stuff you don't enjoy. Could it work? Potentially, but social media is kind of shitty because you just have to keep producing social media content over and over again, generally. Better Lifeline says, news websites have less topic authority, so why do they rank? Probably from their other authority is what I would guess. Duke says, okay, great. This is perfect. To establish enough topical authority to rank for a 10,000 per month keyword, it would take you writing info and best lists and other types of content in the neighborhood to 500 to 1,000 articles. Makes sense. Nuan says, can I join your team? No, thanks. I typically don't hire anyone from the audience directly. And I have a very lean team. I want to work with as few people as possible. No offense to anyone. It just makes it complicated. Okay, I think we made it through. And we'll end on Marcus saying thanks. And thanks everyone for hopping on. So if you want to know about these live streams in the future, but you don't want to rely on YouTube to not send you notifications or to send them late, there's a link in the description here. And I just send you a little update whenever I go live, and it just says, hey, I'm going live. You do join the regular email list. Is it not letting me paste this? Come on. Okay. Didn't work, but anyway, you can sign up. It's courses.nichesiteproject, and wow, I don't know what the link goes to here. Let's see. /live streams. Okay. There you go. So you can sign up there and you'll get the notifications. And then if you want the 3-part mini course coming out next week, the 11th through the 15th, you can follow that link also in the description. It'll help you get motivated to start your first site or to grow your existing one. Thanks everyone for the good questions. And John says, no offense to Doug, but I don't want to work for him. I want to work for myself. Indeed. Yeah, you don't want to work for me. All right. Yeah, subscribe to the podcast, all that stuff. Support the sponsors. If you enjoyed this, and even if you're not going to buy anything from the sponsors, please send them an email. Odys Global. You got Ezoic Niche Website Builders. Just find whatever email you can. Say, hey, thanks for sponsoring the show. Even if 1 or 2 of you do that per week, that'll be a huge deal. And that makes a big difference for me. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you next week for this one. And I'll be back on tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.